Hey guys, and welcome back to the discussion salon. If you're new here, my name is Paul, and if you're one of my many subscribers, thank you so much for sticking with this channel. I really do appreciate it. I know it's just been a couple of tough weeks. I just needed to take some time out for myself, and still haven't fully recovered. But you got to try to back into the swing of things and just try to keep the algorithms up and stuff like that. Okay, so what I want to talk about is a bit of a controversial subject. There's lots of people with different opinions, but what is happening in the US now with their political system? That means we have to talk about Donald Trump. Now it's been reported that Donald Trump has been charged 4 times of the efforts to overhaul the 2020 elections. So what they've charged him with is the indictment is filed in the federal district court in New York and Washington. It charges Trump with 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States, 1 count of conspiracy to obstruct an official proceeding, obstruction of, and the attempt to obstruct an official proceeding, and conspiracy against rights. Sorry. I'll say that again. Conspiracy against rights. And it was over the course of 45 pages. The indictment was brought by the special counsel Jack Smith, outlined in stark detail how Trump and his allies knowingly spread false allegations of the electoral fraud, convened fraudulent electors, and attempted to block the certification of the election on January the 6th. We've got to mention the indictment also listed 6 co-conspirators who played central roles in the plot to keep Trump in office. While they were unnamed, the descriptions of 5 of the 6 matched those of the Trump lawyers, Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, John Easterman, Ken Chesebro, as well as the former U.S. Justice official. I'll say that again. The former U.S. Justice Department official Jeff Clark. Despite having lost, I'm reading this from a paper. It's more of a leftist paper, but it's well written. It's better than some of the tabloids we get over here. So I'll start this again. Despite having lost, the defendant was determined to remain in power. The indictment says so for more than 2 months following the election day on November the 3rd, 2020, the defendant spread lies that there had been an outcome determinative fraud in the election and that he actually won. These claims were false, and the defendant knew they were false. But the defendant repeatedly and widely disseminated them in any way to make his knowingly false claims seem legitimate, create an intense national atmosphere of mistrust and anger, and erode the public faith in the administration of elections. The charges marked the first time Trump has faced criminal charges for his efforts to overturn the 2020 election, and they also came to an extraordinary moment in American politics, an abrupt accounting of an attempted coup. It is the first time that a US president has faced criminal charges of trying to overturn the election. Well, so what he done, if these charges were true, what he done would be worse than Nixon with Watergate. The indictment described a sprawling conspiracy which at its core involved Trump and his co-conspirators organizing fake slates of electors in order to dupe them, the then Vice President Mike Pence, and to use them to falsely suggest the outcome of the 2020 election had been in doubt. Well, wow. So what they're saying is Mike Pence knew nothing about it and he was duped. If real. I got to use the word if real. So to accomplish that goal, Trump tried to use the Justice Department to open a sham election fraud investigations and repeatedly tried to co-opt Pence into rejecting electoral college votes for Joe Biden in a desperate effort to stop his election win certification, the indictment said. Hmm, interesting. This all gets a bit murky, isn't it, really? And when those avenues failed, Trump sought to further obstruct the certification and exploited the January 6th Capitol attack by redoubling efforts to push false claims of election fraud and convince members of Congress to continue to delay the certification, the indictment said. So, some of the strongest evidence of Trump's intent to obstruct the congressional certification appears to come from Pence himself through testimony as well as being previously unknown contemptuous notes that were turned over to the grand jury during the investigation. On Tuesday, Pence said Trump was entitled to the presumption of innocence till proven guilty, but said the indictment underscored why Trump should not return to office. Today's indictment serves as an important reminder to anyone who puts himself over the Constitution and should never be President of the United States, he said in a statement. On January the 6th, former President Trump demanded that I choose between him and the Constitution. I chose the Constitution and always will. Well, Pence had his faults, but if he chose the Constitution, that's better for him. So, it continues on saying the case will be overseen by the U.S. District Court Judge Tanya Chutkan, an Obama appointee who developed the recording of handing down some of the longest criminal sentences against defendants charged with storming the Capitol in January the 6th. Beyond prosecutors' recommendations. So she went. Well, she seems a pretty tough judge. In 2021, Judd Carnan was a judge who rejected Trump's attempt to block the House January the 6th Select Committee investigating the Capitol riot from gaining access to presidential records by saying presidents are not kings and plaintiff is not a president, she wrote at the time. I don't know what that's got to do with it, but somebody willing to explain that one to me, I'd be more interested to hear that one. Speaking at the Justice Department headquarters, Washington, Smith encouraged all Americans to read the indictment in full and displeased his office would seek a speedy trial for Trump. Yeah, he said. The attack on our nation's capital on January 6, 2021 was unprecedented assault on the seat of American democracy. As described in the indictment, it was fueled by lies, he said. Lies by the defendant targeted obstructing a bedrock function of the U.S. government, the nation's process of collecting, counting, and certifying, and the results of the presidential election. I'll read that again because I made a little bit of mistake. So he said the nation's process of collecting and counting and certifying the results of the presidential election. Our investigation of other individuals continues. But so Trump goes on to further say Trump, who leads the Republican primary field for president 2024, attacked his latest indictment, a lengthy statement from his Bedminster Club in New Jersey. There's nothing more than the latest corrupt chapter in the continued pathetic attempt by the Biden crime family and the weaponization of the Department of Justice to interfere with the 2024 presidential election, Trump said. Why did they wait 2.5 years to bring these fake charges right in the middle of President Trump's winning campaign for 2024? And was it announced? Why was it announced the day after the big crooked Joe Biden scandal broke out from the halls of Congress? The latest charges compound the illegal peril for Trump after he was indicted earlier this year in Miami for illegally retaining classified documents, and in New York for paying hush money to a adult movie star. Trump is also expected to face state charges in Georgia after Trump's efforts there to reverse his defeat to Joe Biden in the 2020 election. The Fulton County District Attorney, Fani Willis. So I'm just going to take a step back and hope people appreciate that name there, Fani Willis, has signalled her intent to file multiple indictments around the first 2 weeks of August. The White House did not immediately reissue a statement addressing the charges on Tuesday. Joe Biden and his wife, Jill Biden, arrived to see a movie, the Christopher Nolan movie, Oppenheimer, while in vacation in Delaware. So, what does all that mean? To be honest, I haven't got a clue. If this is Britain, I could talk a little bit about this. But reading what was said, it does not look good for Trump, does it? Is this all a fit-up job? I don't think so. I think the reason why they had to wait for 2.5 years is to gain evidence. Evidence does not come just like that. It needs to be looked at, it needs to be filed, and scores of information needs to be read and data. So you have to take it from there. But if true, and I use the word if true, has this made America, the United States of America, America has got this role now of being the world's foremost superpower. It is okay to have a strong military, but when you've got a weak leader or somebody who's broken the laws just to stay into that grasp little fingertip of power, and to break the Constitution and just to rip it up there. Say, no, I'm going to do it this way. You know, it is wrong. So, what I would like to do, I'd like to offer discussion. I'd like people to come in who know a lot more about this than me, on both sides of the party, Republican and Democrat, where you can have a decent discussion without shouting or insults. So if there's anybody out there who wants this, I'll put down my email, the channel's email, not my own personal email. I'll put down my channel's email, and people can email me if they want to do this, if they want to come up and join. And then we can arrange a time, sort this out. Anyway, guys, finally I've got through this after the 20th time of doing this recording. So, thank you all for being here. I wish you all a blessed day and enjoy yourselves and look after yourselves. And like I said again, all take care. But take care all then. Bye.